In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in Black and White emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our world.
Welcome back to America in Black and White. I'm your host, Charles King, and tonight we welcome back a familiar voice, Dr. Lorenzo Carswell. In his previous appearance, Dr. Carswell inspired us with his journey of resilience, vision, and leadership. He is a man who has worn many hats: entrepreneur, educator, and community advocate. His story reminds us that success is not just about personal achievement, but about creating pathways for others to thrive. From building businesses that empower communities to shaping the minds in classrooms, Dr. Carswell has dedicated his life to bridging opportunities and education. His work demonstrates that entrepreneurship and education are not separate pursuits, but interconnected tools for liberation and legacy. Tonight, we'll dive deeper into his life story, his entrepreneurial journey, and his impact as an educator. This is a conversation about vision, empowerment, and responsibility of leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lorenzo Carswell. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hey, good evening. How are you? Good to be
I,
back.
I am just excellent. Thanks for being back.
No problem at all. I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Hey, is there anything else you'd like for the audience to know before we get into the show?
Well, no, I think they'll learn more about me as we go throughout the show. So I'm pretty good right now. So, you know, they'll be attentive enough to hear me.
So, so let's start with your life story. Can you share more about your upbringing and the values that shaped you?
Oh, yeah, sure, certainly. I did a post on Facebook several months ago, and I like to share things about me. So, in that upbringing, there were three family dynamics that I lived under. Uh, as a kid, growing up in the projects in a single parent home, my mom was really heavy laden by having, I think, three boys, and she might have been pregnant with my youngest brother at the time, but she allowed myself, which I'm the oldest of four, and my brother under me because we have the same father. So
Mhm.
she allowed us to go and stay with our grandmother. I was about 6 or 7 years old then. And
Mhm.
with living with my grandmother, that family dynamics was my grandmother and grandfather, along with the youngest aunts. I think it was two aunts and an uncle that was still living in the house at the time. So therefore, it's like five of us when she brought us, the two grandkids in. So with that being said, with being around that family, medium, income workers and so forth. My grandmother was a respiratory therapist, and my grandfather was a retired longshoreman and worked for the railroads. So we had a pretty good upbringing there, and it was still pretty tough with bringing in two grandkids and still having three left of their own that were still in the household. So therefore, we learned a lot of values, such as, of course, education was always pushed.
Oh,
When
wow.
you come home, you get at that table, that kitchen table, and you get that homework done. So we always had to do our homework. Then we were just able to go out freely after we do our chores and our homework, and was able to, play the traditional games that we played back in the day, such as four square, throw up, tackle, freeze tag, red light, green light. I can go on and on. So it was lovely growing up in that area because we had that freedom to not only do our academics and learn, but to also be able to get outside and socially interact with other kids and so forth. So, playing football at 8 years old and walking about 3 miles from the house, we were like the little rascals. It was literally like maybe about 12 to 15 of us. My uncle and I, one of my uncles and I was talking about it the other day, and we were just reminiscing on us walking to the field 3 miles away. Nobody had to worry about us. Everybody knew everybody on that street. So growing up in that particular neighborhood, it was really good gaining those morals and values. And then as I got older, 13 years old, I moved back with my mother in a single parent home in the projects area. So that was a little different family dynamics living in a single parent home at that time and struggling, my mom struggling and having health issues. So I was pretty much put in the forefront or in the leadership of the family as the man of the house. So I had a lot of responsibilities. So I didn't have as much freedom to go out like I was and play and so forth, just only with a particular friends. And we're still friends today. So forth. But then the other family dynamics was with my father. He got us in the summer. I had 6 stepsisters and brothers. So it was 8 of us in the household during the summertime and the weekends. So I had the opportunity to kind of be shared among, if I may say that, shared among each one of those family dynamics that taught me different values and work ethics and so forth. Yeah.
So, as you think about how you grew up today and just thinking about some of the things that you said earlier, uh, do you ever sit down, laugh, and joke and talk with your kids about the difference in how we grew up compared to how they're growing up now?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's totally different.
I talk about it all the time, especially with my son. My son, I have 4 girls and one boy, but my son, he came to me, he said, "Dad, you never really, told me I want to know more about you." And that really, uh, you know, really made me feel so good that he wanted to know more about me when I should have. I just was unaware that being so busy in our workflow these days, I wasn't even thinking about it. So now we talk all the time about that. We were just talking about that. When did I take them out? Today is Friday. Was it Thursday? Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And we were sitting at the table eating, and we were just talking about those same games that I was talking about. I say, tetherball, and I say, kickball, and all of this stuff. And we were talking and laughing. And he was like, "Oh man, yeah," because kids these days don't get out as much as we did back in the day. So yeah, I talk to them about that, and we laugh, man. It's just such a good memory of laughing and family legacy when you're letting them know, even going back to telling him the things we did in high school, because we went to the same high school. Like 3 of my kids, we all went to the same high school, along with my uncles and aunt, dating all the way back to 1975. So it's kind of like a family tradition that we go to Tampa Bay Tech High School in Tampa, Florida. It's a trade school that taught us a trade, so we were able to be prepared for the workforce when we completed high school.
What challenges did you face early in life, and how did you overcome them?
Well, there were many challenges that I faced. Like I was telling you, within the different family dynamics, that was definitely a challenge. It was good for me too, to learn and be in those different areas that I was younger and I learned. But through all of that, the challenges were just shifting from place to place. And even when I lived with my mom, we stayed in different areas of Tampa, and we thought we would be out of the projects. I thought that was my intimate thoughts, was saying, "Hey, we're out of the projects now. We moved into this area of town," but then something would happen and we would move right back. So with that, that was one of the challenges Not saying that living in the projects was bad, but as a child, as a kid, and all the reputation of the neighborhoods and stuff, I wouldn't take it back from living in there now at all. But that was one of the things that was on my mind as a kid, to what get out of those projects, and so forth, and be able to live in another environment, that was more upper class or something of that nature. But with that, how I dealt with it, to answer your question, was that I didn't really have a choice, but I just was humble. I've always been a humble child, and I've always followed directions, from whomever. I was taught that, again, dating back to 6 years old, moving with my grandmother. We were taught morals, a lot of morals and things of that nature, work ethics, how to be respectful, things such as not saying ain't, or finna, something like that. So we were taught, we would get our mouth pinched, or our ear twisted, or our mouth washed out with soap if we weren't speaking properly. So that's why you will hear me throughout this thing. I can code switch easily. I love it. I love being myself. I love finna, whatever, if I was to say that. But I know what I'm doing now, as opposed to earlier in life, not really knowing, and my aunts teaching me how to speak properly.
Who were your biggest influences growing up?
Wow, man, you're gonna get me to. There's a lot of influences, again, on both sides of the family. I have my mom's side and my dad's side. So I looked up to a lot of my uncles and aunts on both sides. I mean, there was, on my mom's side, there was 10. There were 10 kids, eight girls and 2 boys. And then on my dad's side, 8 kids.
Dang.
So let me see. Yeah, so there were 5 boys and 3 girls. So in each, on both sides, and this is no way promoting violence, but it's real. It's real. It's facts. I learned how to fight on both sides of the family. That was something we had to learn. That was a skill that we had to learn to protect ourselves. And that's why, when it comes to the flight or flight, that I use in teaching emotional intelligence, I'm gonna stand in there and I'm gonna fight, but I am gonna also be wise to be able to know when to flee too at that time. So I'm really knowledgeable about that. And to answer your question, that's what I'm saying. Both sides of the family, aunts and uncles, my dad, my mom influenced me by having several different. That's why I realized today, while I'm doing several things, I'm certified in different things, as well as have 5 degrees, so my mom really influenced me with her work ethic. She did floristry design for Mother's Day and for Easter baskets and all of that stuff. And she cooked. And I used to work at a pharmacy, and she used to bring lunches out there, and people used to buy lunches. So all this time back when I was younger, I didn't realize my mom was an entrepreneur. She was forced into entrepreneurship because she had health issues. And she used to work with cerebral palsy kids, but she couldn't work anymore, and she couldn't get disability. So she did everything she could, from cleaning up people's houses to helping a great aunt cook for different events, Hawaiian luau's and church events, and so on. And then my dad was worked at the concrete products company, where they built the block, created the blocks in order for people to come and purchase and use to build houses or whatever else. So both of them were hard workers. So aunts, uncles, dad, mom, I had a lot of influences going back to even high school. Whether they were white, Spanish, black, they used to come and get me out of the project and take me to their houses and so forth in the wealthier areas, in Tampa and so forth. So I really was blessed and really favored to have those mentors, and look after me and come and get me out of college, put me as well. Well, I was able to make money from 13 years old on up. So
Mhm.
it's nothing new to me about making money, but money isn't the all be all.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think having a large family dynamic on both your mother and father's side is the reason why it's so natural for you to be so multifaceted in what you're doing today?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because we had athletes on both sides, especially in football, basketball. I wasn't a
Mhm.
baseball guy, but some of my uncles and aunts, they were heavily into uh, athletics and so forth. So I was influenced in that manner. I had an uncle. I have an uncle that was very educated in computers and computer technology and so forth. Two uncles actually. Another uncle owned his construction company. Another uncle owned his business where he did plumbing and did some certain additions to homes as well. So I was able to go with them. Another uncle on my mom's side that played tennis. Another one basketball. I know I'm mentioning sports, but those are things that teaches life skills as well.
Yeah.
If you're playing team sports, you got to understand that. So I take from every aspect of my life and I analyze it specifically to see how I have grown and how that process has made me successful, as the question that you asked.
Mhm.
So with that being said, yeah. I mean, from because that's how I got into computer programming. I was in computer programming for a while. Then I changed to education and so on. So I'm very multifaceted in different areas, and I just thank God for that.
So tell how so this is that what's so interesting about that is my next question is kind of like for what you was just ending with is um how did your personal experiences inspire your career path?
Right. Well, like I said before, those personal experiences, and I've had many. My son and I, my daughters, we get into conversations, and I love talking. Everybody will tell you I love talking. So sometimes I know I talk too much, but but at the same time, I love just sharing. It's a wonderful blessing to just share the beauty of life and the book of life that God has created for each and every last one of us. So from my personal experiences, I'm telling you, it's from whether they were good or bad. Um, in some cases, the worst even shaped me to what I am today. Being wrongfully accused and arrested and having to serve 3 years probation, pay back restitution, and all of that for something I did not do. So that was very humbling. I had to humble myself. I had to resign from the school system. In lieu of termination, I was homeless at that time for 9 months, sleeping in my car. you know, Things occurred. I could have asked family members, and eventually I did, but I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to do it myself. So it was very painful. And of course, God was there leading me. I have a group of circle of friends that were there for me, that clothed me, that fed me, that let me come into their homes to bathe and so forth. So I'm not ashamed of that because I know what God has for me. So with that being said, I couldn't have had no friends that helped at all. But those friends stuck with me and understood me and believed me, in my situation. So through those experiences, it shaped me to not give up because I feel like I've been through the storm over and over and I've come out. So I feel very confident in myself, and as well as being under the leadership, of my pastor, Apostle Mark T. Jones Sr. and Pastor Rodney Norton. Being under their leadership, I mean, you can't help but to succeed, and they help you to create a mindset to where if something happens, we're already fully dressed in the whole armor of God, that we can fight against the wiles of the devil, whatever which way it comes. So that is from my personal experiences. I feel like it has shaped my life, and I'm still growing. I'm still growing. I'm humbling myself even more now, since I had my stroke back in May of 2025.
So, what role did education play in your journey?
Well, like it's in the beginning, way back, again, those morals and values were shaped living with my grandmother and grandfather, along with my aunts and uncles, because they were educated. They wanted us to be educated. So therefore, there were particular things put in place so that we can follow that list of things. We knew exactly what we needed to do when we came home. So like I said, you unpack that bag. If you have to use the restroom, use the restroom. But you come into that kitchen table automatically because you need to get your homework done.
Yes, sir.
So once we got our homework done, again, if we were involved in football, if it wasn't football season, they would let us go outside and play with the other kids until that street light comes on. And when that street light comes on, it starts flickering. We running. We're trying to get in the house. Yeah, we trying to get in that house. Boy, those are good days, though. Those
You know what? Look, we had a security system, but didn't have to have one. When that street light is on, you better be in the house.
Yes.
I mean, it's simple. There ain't nothing else, but you need to be in the house.
Exactly. We knew that much. Yeah.
How did you discover your passion for entrepreneurship?
Again, influenced by, I don't want to say too much, but I'll say enough on both ends because I want to give credit to both sides of my family. The Henderson side and the Carswell side. Even if it wasn't something I condoned and I was around it watching it, I'm gonna let you all draw the context from that. It wasn't a good thing what they were doing. However, it was business strategies that they did throughout what they were doing. If I may say that. Again, I'm very observant. Very observant. So when I watched them do the things they did, it was a process they had to go through. But being more specific on my dad's side, the entrepreneurship was definitely influenced by, again, 3 of my uncles. Well, 4, but 3 actually had their own businesses and worked in their fields, being entrepreneurs. Construction. One of my uncles had his own construction business. I'm thinking for over 30 years. And as a young guy, he purchased his house. He influenced me to purchase my house at 19 and so forth. And my other uncle did plumbing. They took my brother and I on the job with them. And then they paid us. Well, it was $5 an hour because back then minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. So $5 was big for us being 12, 13 years old, So they paid us. So that gave us that relationship, employer-employee relationship, opportunity as young kids. So that shaped us to already knowing that if we work hard, we're going to get paid for it, So
there's a comment here in the chat. I don't want to say her name wrong. I'll put it on the screen. And she just said, wow. MZ China Doll. Ms. China Doll. That's what that is. Okay, I want to say her name wrong. But yeah, Ms. China Doll, she says, wow.
Yeah. Wow. It's a lot of things that people don't know about you, and they can only suspect from
Mhm.
your actions and so forth. But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Trust me. I
Oh,
had to earn everything, that I have, and I'm still not there yet. Trust me. We
mhm.
have to continue to humble ourselves,
Yeah.
and continue to grow. When you stop growing and you think that you know everything, that's when everything breaks down. You don't allow yourself the opportunity to continue to get to where you need to be, or where God can catapult you to.
Okay, and she just put her name here is Marcella. Okay, thank you for
Oh,
doing.
Marcella. Oh, Marcella. Yeah, yeah. Hey, Marcella.
Say your name wrong. Okay. Um, so what lessons did you learn from your first setback?
First setback. First, which one was the first? You got me thinking now. Yeah.
I'm assuming that most likely, I'm sure that this is like when you first got out there in your entrepreneur journey.
So particularly concerning entrepreneurship.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
actually, I'm still developing in entrepreneurship. I've made, the key is not only again making money. The key is whether consistency, dedication, and your why for doing it.
Yes.
What is your why? And so forth. So I do a lot of things in reference to my passion, as well as if it can provide a service to others, because I
Mhm.
consider myself a servant of God, a true servant. So I want to provide opportunities, and I've laid back off of some of the things that I do. However, I'm getting ready to just channel it even more now coming in 2026. I've already been setting it up and getting things in place. But some of those things are life insurance, and I do life insurance and retirement. You know, um, a lot of people don't know, but I do private investigation.
Mhm.
With the under a cousin of mine that has his own business, Carswell Investigation Services, you know,
Mhm.
in Miami. So I go with him sometimes, and we do private investigative cases and so
Okay.
forth. So yeah, I have a plethora of things, and I'm completing my bail bonds license again. I was when I got into that accusation, I was just taking the state exam for bail bonds back in the 90s, but I still used to help an ex-wife in the bail bonds business. So I thought I would, have it started over again and eventually own my own bail bonds so that my son or whoever, my kids can join if they choose to join, provide that legacy for them.
So, how do you define resilience in your own life?
That's very easy, very easy. Facile, very in Spanish, but that's it's very easy because I've been through the fire.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, I've been back and forth throughout it, so now I'm experienced. I know, uh, how to be resilient. Already resilient. To answer your question, to me, it's almost like my youngest daughter and I was traveling to Texas, and it started raining, pouring down. So I'm talking to her. I always try to find that way to educate at that time. So it was storming. She'd say, "Dad, people, they just stopping and they keep moving over. They got their hazards on." I say, "Yeah." I said, "But Dad can still see." I said, "You see these white lines right here?" I say, "I'm just gonna slow down, but I'm still gonna keep moving through that storm." I say, "Because the storm don't last forever." I
Mm.
say, "Those people that are stopping on the side of the road, they're gonna be stuck in the storm until it stops." I said, "But as I continue to go, and about 30 minutes later, the storm stopped." And I say, "You see the sun coming out?" I say, "See, it don't last forever." So those things like that, I use as educational opportunity, and to really talk about the goodness of God, because people, in my opinion, need to understand that there's a lot of goodness if you just don't quit. You gotta be willing to push. So I'm describing resilience right now as I'm speaking to you. You gotta continue to keep moving. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that said, "If you can't fly, what do you need to do?" Do you know that quote
Mm-mm.
from Dr. Martin Luther King?
Mm-mm.
If you can't fly, then run. You can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do,
Don't stop.
keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep moving. So I always think about those things as it relates, to my mindset, because I got to keep it strong. I got to keep my mindset strong. So resilience is, facing challenges and being able to not say, man, and put myself down and now I quit or lay down for a while, a couple of months. I take it for what it's worth, look at a solution. Now, what am I going to do? I need to evaluate what has happened. And through that evaluation, now I rectify the plan, the game plan, and write it down. So that's what keeps me going. That's resilience for me.
Okay, we got another comment here. This is from Wayne Wilcox. Dr. Cardwell, you're doing a great job speaking and looking great. You're inspiring me just hearing your blessings. And this is from let me just put it on the screen for you. This one right here is Tampa.
Oh,
Tampa.
Tampa Tempest.
Yes.
Both of them are, yeah, both of them are my best friends,
Uh,
Wayne and Gary. Yeah.
yeah, they're enjoying the dialogue.
Hey, thank you all, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Hey, because of you all too, man. I haven't even gotten into the discussion about how my friends have influenced me, but they have influenced me big time. Those were two of the ones that was helping me in my situation when I was homeless.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what sacrifices did you make to pursue your vision?
What sacrifices?
Hmm.
Well, sacrifices was being a lifelong learner, getting all this education. That was a sacrifice. Really, it was. It was a big sacrifice because I knew, hey, I have kids depending on me. You
Hmm.
know, so I had to, first of all, be an example, be a good father, and then be an example. So I think that example has led my kids to do what they're doing now because all of them are successful. The two youngest are in college, taking courses at the college that I teach at Hillsborough College. The other ones are, one is a professional model, actress in Hollywood. Other one is a professional photographer. She does several things as well. Photography. She's a fitness dance instructor and she teaches third grade. So she does multiple things too. But anyway, overall, all of my kids are doing well, and I thank God for that because I'm able to kind of be an example to them. And I know there's this saying out there that there's a lot of fatherless homes,
Hmm.
you know, and I didn't want that. My dad, even though he wasn't in the household
Hmm.
with my mom, but he had his own family. I learned a lot from him and watching him of how to take care of a family, how to treat a woman, all of those different things, how to stay connected to God because he was a minister, so there's a lot of good influences in my life, and I'm very appreciative of that.
So, when you think about the years gone by from when you started, as you're upcoming and you're like going through school and you're doing the things that you're doing. Can you tell us what is your why for the things that you do today? What's your why?
Um, all I can keep reiterating, honestly, is my extrinsic motivation, which are my kids.
Hmm.
Now leading down to my grandkids. I'm
Hmm.
still doing it. I spent time with them on yesterday, along with my son and with two of my grandkids out of the three. But The thing is that we need to understand relationships, especially with our family. A lot of our families are disconnected with one another because of some grudge or something that happened in the family. We have to understand about being delivered. And I know a lot of people on here aren't spiritual or religious, but at the same time, I'm telling you through my experiences, I had to be delivered in order to continue to progress in life. What does that mean? I had to face the things that I had been through and address them and ask God for forgiveness through those things, because deliverance, forgiveness, we got to understand it's not for the first person that has done us wrong. Forgiveness is for ourselves, for ourselves, because how are we going to hold a grudge and say that we're Christian and that's not God's way? Again, I'm just talking from my experiences and the questions that you're asking me. It's just bittersweet, in other words, through through the trials or whatever you've been through with family members and so forth, you have to squash that. We have now family chats on both sides of the family. I enjoy just going through, even though I'm called OG and I'm called old. But the thing is that we're telling them things, the younger generation, about things they don't know about, about great grandma, grandma, and great auntie, and so forth, and the things that happen. And we enjoyed one another just telling those old school stories about what happened back in the day. So with that being said, you just got to be delivered. You got to understand that all types of relationships are important. But we need to squash the things to get rid of our stress in order to have good stress management and just humble ourselves and think about having a good life.
This is there's a question here in the chat. We haven't got to this yet, but I will ask this of you now. I'm going to put it on the screen. The question is, can we hear about how you learned about emotional intelligence and share one or two takeaways for us as to how to use emotional intelligence daily?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I mean, do you want me to go into that? Or
Yes, go ahead.
okay. First of all,
I'll skip that question. But go ahead.
as a professor at the college or teaching for 28 years, I always start with the definition, because I can't assume that everybody understands what emotional intelligence is about. So, emotional intelligence is understanding and managing your emotions, so that way, you won't fall into temptations of doing something that you would regret. Giving you my own personal definition of it. Also, understanding others' perceptions and not just keeping yours as the one and only perception. Because when we do that, we disrespect the person's freedom of speech. So you don't have to agree with them, but I think it's respectful to understand that they have an opinion. So that's pretty much what emotional intelligence is. And based on the newer uh, emotional intelligence components that I research, it's called the EQI 2.0. EQ stands for emotional quotient. When you can compare that with intelligence quotient, which also is known as IQ. IQ is more on the intelligence level, your academic knowledge, and so forth. But the emotional intelligence, it's understanding your emotions and how you manage those emotions throughout different situations in your life. So the 5 components are self-perception. Think about it. Self-perception. A lot of people don't know who they are. If you ask them, who are you? They're going to say Lorenzo Carswell. They're going to say their name. Seriously, I do it every semester for my classes, because I integrate emotional intelligence in my classes to help them to get throughout the semester. And once they learn that, they understand how to use it, because I'll refer them back to it. And I'll say, hey, now I say, which one of the emotional intelligence quotients you saying you can't do this.
Mhm.
I said, so anyway, the 5 components are self-perception, self-expression, stress management, stress management, you have decision making, and then you have interpersonal skills. Those are the 5 components. So with that, how I've used emotional intelligence throughout my life, I learned it back in 2008 from a guy named Dr. Hank Clemens, who's unfortunately passed away about 2.5 years ago now. But he was my mentor. And I was an advocate for a long time for the Emotional Intelligence Society of Tampa Bay. And he's created several other societies around the United States. When I learned that of him, I just got certified in it in 2017. So I love emotional intelligence. I love it because it has taught me a lot about controlling my emotions and things, and understanding when you react in your emotions, you're not going to get a favorable outcome. So
So,
you have to sit back and reflect first. Go ahead.
so what does legacy mean to you?
Well, legacy means a lot, honestly. Legacy specifically means to me is leaving a plethora of shared knowledge and experiences with whomever comes across your path. That's a legacy. Because everybody doesn't have knowledge. Everybody doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. So that's why I'm very pleased, and it's a pleasure for me to be in the social atmosphere. I meet people all the time. I go to Starbucks and somebody's waiting online, and I wait for that eye contact, and I say, "How you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am?" And I give them a compliment, a genuine compliment if I see something that I like, But I start a conversation with them because you never know through that conversation what you can learn.
Oh,
So that's leaving a legacy for me, passing it down to my kids and my kids' kids. You know,
so how do you balance personal ambition with community responsibility?
Again, as a servant, God will connect you divinely to what you need to be connected with, and through that, through serving and through my personal ambitions, again, whatever I do is already serving people. So that's what God has connected me to, because of the fact that whatever I do is already serving others.
Right.
Throughout life insurance. What am I doing for life insurance? People don't understand the importance of life insurance, especially in the Black community.
Yeah.
Because I've been told that, this is a scam and so forth. How is life insurance a scam? You got to really understand that, and then when you tell them about tax-free retirement, they don't believe it because they've been so, like their mindsets have already been shaped by corporate America with 401ks, where when they get up there 30, 40 years and think they're going to have $300,000 and $400,000 to retire, and 40, 50% of that is taken from them because they've been tax deferred all of these years. Yep. And when I explain that, they don't believe it, but they believe, oh, my employer is going to match it. Okay. If they match it, that means you're putting more money in the bucket that they're going to take out. The higher the higher the money that you're going to be putting in there, the more taxes are going to come out. Yep. So I'm trying to, when I try to explain that, I'm telling you, man, that's a scam. That's a scam. They get right up, walk out the meetings, everything, So the Bible states, where that, we perish because of the lack of knowledge. We don't, at least take your time. If I can give any word of advice, take your time and listen to people. Do you have to accept what they're giving you? No. But at least listen to them all the way out, so that way you get a full understanding of what the person is trying to offer, and then you do your due diligence and you go and research it.
So, what moments stand out as turning points in your life story?
Again, when I got scammed, I used to do club promotions and a lot of that, and in that business, my ex-wife and I were doing very well in it. The thing is that I got caught up, and just was hungry for money. The guy said, "Hey, I'm gonna send you some money through your bank account. Let me get your bank account." That was the biggest mistake I ever had in my life. I gave him my bank account. He put the money in, and I believed him. I took the money out. Once I took the money out, I gave it, part of it to my ex-wife to give to the other supposed to be partner of this gentleman that asked for my bank account. And anyway, we did our advertising, did what we were supposed to do and everything. And lo and behold, I was driving around a whole year with a warrant out and didn't know it. I got stopped because of a late tag, and that turned into me going to jail. And in a way, I'm glad I did, because I would have been roaming around forever, not knowing that I had a warrant out for my arrest. But anyway, it was squashed. I had a good lawyer eventually, and that lawyer, really, got me a good plea. A lot of times we fall into the criminal system because of the lack of money, because it's a money making machine. That's my opinion. But I didn't have the money to pay a certain amount, because they tried to make a deal with me to pay a certain amount and they'll drop it to a misdemeanor. But the thing is, I didn't have the money. So therefore I had to face a felony. And what would you do in my situation? Would you go in front of a jury, or would you just take the plea and take 3 years probation?
Ooh. That's a tough question, and that's
Yeah.
one I guess you have to be in the moment to actually get that whole feel, because that sounds like you were on the hot seat.
Yeah, I had to choose, but I had to be wise. you know, I know if I get in front of that jury where I was in Sanford, Florida,
Oh
uh,
God.
yeah, I wasn't going to survive. They were
Right,
going to send me straight to jail, 5 years.
right.
So I had to take the plea, and I just suffered 3 years probation, paid back the money, and I just did it, and it was over. You know.
So tell us, what inspired you to become an educator?
Well, to be honest with you, I did not want to be an educator.
Mhm.
When I went to Fort Valley State, I went in for computer programming, computer information systems. As I told you, when I went to my high school, I took the trade of programming. So I already knew how to program. MetLife was trying to hire me right out of school, graduation. I didn't take it because I wanted to play football. So when I went to Fort Valley State, I ended up getting a work study job for tutoring. My first major was computer informations, and then I changed it to math and science education. So I changed it because I was getting a lot of referrals, because people had been passing the word that, hey, you need to see Lorenzo for tutoring. So the guy that was over at that time asked me, did I want to go into education? Guess what I told him? I said, no, I'll never teach anybody kids. I told him that.
Oh
Now
wow.
look at me, 28 years later, I'm teaching. So it wasn't my thing. It wasn't my doing.
Mhm.
That was God's plan.
Wow.
I fell into the education because I know how to teach. But
Mhm.
my real love was computers. I was used to program computers like nothing.
Mhm.
COBOL language, COBOL 1 and 2, basic language, all of those different languages.
Yeah.
Fortran, you know, I was good at it. I had the brain to create that logic and create programs.
Oh
But I
wow.
ended up going into education because of my tutoring work study job.
Mhm.
And that
Well,
has been my life.
you got a comment here from Brown Skin. Brown Skin says, "Praise God, it would have been worse."
Yeah,
Suffering.
it could have. Yep. Amen. It could have been
Um,
worse.
so, how do you bring your entrepreneur experience into the classroom?
Uh, everything evolves from mindset.
Mhm,
Again, as the structure of my class, and I researched it in one of my master's programs with
mhm,
emotional intelligence, and critical thinking. And
mhm,
I teach I call them kids, I'm sorry, but I teach my college students
mhm.
uh, the emotional intelligence and the critical thinking at the beginning of the semester. That is my foundation. So when I did my research in it and I showed how it worked and I kept records of progress, it showed in my thesis that I used using various strategies to enhance students' learning. That was my thesis topic for my
Mhm.
master's in curriculum and instruction. And now I use that effectively by just simply teaching them how to use emotional intelligence and
Oh,
in
wow.
what situation. You know, for example, if a student um, gets upset because they failed an essay, I tell them, okay, the critical thinking process, what step is this? What step did you miss? You missed the evaluation step. What I mean by evaluation, did you take this to a tutor? No. Okay. Did you go through it with the knowledge that you have and look at your sentence structures, your punctuation, your grammar, and so forth? You didn't evaluate this paper before you turned it in.
Right.
That's why you got the grade you got. Now, the next time, let's follow the procedure of, getting your rough draft checked.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's emotional intelligence as well. Understanding yourself, understanding how to use, and to eliminate your stress. How do you eliminate your stress?
Mhm,
By following through procedures, going to get somebody else who's already experienced to help you with this writing. You're
mhm,
trying to do it on your own. You're not taking time. So who can you fault? You can only fault yourself, if that makes sense.
mhm.
So I continuously send them back to the chart. Here's emotion intelligence components. Here's the critical thinking components. Which one did you miss?
So,
It,
tell us what inspired your entrepreneurship.
well, the entrepreneurship was inspired again by my uncles and aunts. Again, they're very creative, and my mom. My mom cleaned people's houses to make money. My
Mhm,
mom cooked food to take out on my job to see who wanted to order it.
mhm.
Man, she made $200 to $300 a day when she came out there on Fridays. So I'm like, man, that's good. I need to make some of this money. Then she worked with one of my great aunts. Then my uncles, construction, plumbing. One of them did computer tech, showed me how to do the motherboards and so forth. I, I didn't understand that. He taught me about the motherboard. He used to work for Motorola, in the Fort Lauderdale area until they
Mhm,
crashed back in the 9/11, you know.
mhm.
But I learned a lot of things, and that's what inspired me in entrepreneurship to make my own.
Okay.
But I'm still in the category of an employee as well. But at the
Okay.
same time, yeah, because I work as a professor at the college, so that's my retirement. But
Mhm,
on the other hand, I have these other things that I can take at any time: the life insurance, the private investigation, the emotional intelligence, and make money off of them.
mhm.
You know, so that's what inspired my entrepreneurship.
Okay, this is a comment here from Larry Keaton. I put it on the screen. He says, "Loving this. Thanks for the invite."
Yeah, that's the head of my Christian organization I just joined. I appreciate you, Larry. Thank you so much, man. Most valuable Christians. Yeah, so
So, can you describe your first business venture?
ooh, you really want me to go way back. My first business ventures was in eighth grade. Eighth
Okay.
grade. Let me tell you, man, I made so much money. It was a store across the street. I went to this middle school, and it was a convenience store across the street. So I used to go over there and buy noun laters. You know what noun laters are, right?
Oh, most definitely.
I buy the short packs and I buy the long packs.
Yep.
And them kids want them kids, some of them kids and their families wouldn't allow them to eat sweets, but they will show, for sure eat it once they come to school. So I used to have a big bag of noun laters, short pack, long pack. Short pack we used to buy for 10 cents. I used to sell them for 50 cents. The long packs I used to sell them for $1. So that was my first business venture in middle school. Just selling candy. Just selling candy. I didn't even know I was doing it. I was just doing it because I like money. And I know them kids wanted something. They had to get it because they couldn't get it at home.
So tell us, how do you see education as a tool for liberation?
Man, when I tell you, again, let me say this. College is not for everyone. However, for me, it happened. There's other alternatives for students to get trades. So I'm pushing trades as well as an advocate and consultant for private schools. Because a lot of the reasons why children are at private schools are because they're not being successful in public school. The ones that I have consulted with and owned. Those kids aren't prepared for college. So what I say by that, education can be, either way is education. If you're getting a trade, it's still being educated. So both of those will liberate you. It's just that it will take less stress from a student that is really trying to be a doctor, but don't have the skills or the ability or the processing of the mindset to get through the coursework and stuff with the sciences and the maths. So they got to really think and consider, what is reality for me? That's part of self-identity and emotional intelligence. Understanding yourself that, yes, this is my desire. However, I don't have the skills for that. I don't care how much I study, how much I learn, I cannot get it. So let's do something that you're passionate about and that you're going to make money about and be happy in that. Like, again, private investigation, like welding or something of that nature. Mechanics, auto mechanics. So those are tools for liberation when we get those trades and things and licenses and certifications as well, because that can liberate us, just like the process server. Come on. They offer it one time a year. Catch it. All you have to do is go and serve people at their houses and make $25 to $35, $40 per delivery. So if you make 10 deliveries, guess what? If it's at $35 a piece, $350 I made a day just for serving a letter and taking it to people's house. There's things out there that can definitely liberate us. They even got Lyft and Uber now.
Yeah.
Come on. I had to show my son how to do that. My son went right in there, applied, boom. Resolves a lot of his issues of debt. Driving a few hours a day for Lyft. Hey, that just sums it up there.
This comment here is, this is from Brown Skin. She says, you must understand yourself in order for someone else to understand you. This is Felicia, Dr. Carswell.
Okay. Hey, Felicia. Yeah, she's certainly right. Yeah. You got to understand yourself first. You ever heard the saying, how are you going to take care of somebody else if you can't take care of yourself? That's exactly. You got to understand yourself first in order to be successful in the social environment, to be really successful.
So what lessons do you hope your students carry with them beyond the classroom?
Good question. At the end of the semester, I usually get with my classes and have a final thought. And with that being said, my hope is for students to go out and be self-efficient, to be independent, to be responsible, because a lot of them coming to college are ill prepared. They're not responsible at all. They don't come to class regularly. They don't follow instructions. They really don't read. And when I reread it to them, I'm like, so what's the problem?
Mhm.
I know what the problem is. You did not read this. So no, really, it's just
You know,
beyond.
I think with
Yeah,
these young folks, though, don't you think that a lot of times it's like the discipline and the structure is not there, and sometimes they do it when they feel like they want to do it.
exactly. Yeah, I literally had one student tell me, I'm having trouble with this, Professor Carswell. I say, come on up. Let me help you. I went step by step. Step one, she did it on her computer. Step two, she did it on computer. Step three, with me reading now, she,
Mhm.
she did it on her computer. So I said to her, what's the big deal? You just did it. Why you couldn't do it? I said, all you had to do is read it. You know what she told me? She said, she really said, she really said that. She said, oh, I didn't know I had to read it. I said, and I'm just like, I'm shaking my head like, I don't understand. Yeah. It's just like,
You
but
know,
I don't know. These students these days, it
right.
takes a lot of us explanation. I'm literally tired, dry mouth at the end of teaching every class, and I have to drink at least a bottle or two after each class because I'm breaking it down, trying to figure out different ways to explain
Mhm.
the assignment or to explain a particular skill that they're learning. And I
Right.
don't mind because I love teaching. You know,
So, what lessons have you learned about leadership in business?
the lessons I've learned is to build a honest and truthful relationship. What do I mean by that? Whatever you say, you need to come through with what you say. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Because I've been before where I've said something and I didn't follow through. However, and that's okay. If you don't follow through, you need to at least go back and address it with the ones that you have told this particular thing about. Two, if I'm making sense. So in other words, just being honest. Hey, look, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make the deadline by tomorrow. Um, I'm going to have to push it back. At least you're letting them know, and you're still building that honesty with
Right.
them. So that's one of the things I've learned in leadership is that when you say something, you need to follow through with it. So don't speak too fast.
Mhm.
You need to really plan this and plan out whatever you're doing with it pertaining to business because you are accountable to accountability and responsibility are two big things that you need in leadership.
So, how do you balance profitability with social impact? That's in business.
Profitability with social impact.
Mhm.
Mm. Well, the thing is, you know, like for example, in life insurance, we don't go out and sell life insurance directly. Usually I contact someone and say, hey, I got a video for you. Can you watch this video or whatever? But also what we're doing is that we're educating them, informing them, and we're educating them and empowering them. So those are the key things that you want to do when it comes to socially impacting uh, you know, the community or others, uh, and that turns into profitability, not the product itself. Later on, indirectly the product, but initially, people want to know that you're providing a good source of information for them that is going to be valuable to their lives, if that makes sense. If I come to you and I say, hey, I'm selling this life insurance product, you're going to run. In reality, we need to be educating and informing people. Were
Mhm.
you aware that they have insurance policies that you can get, accelerated benefit riders if you were to get physically injured, or you were to get, hurt or something, that it pays out up to 90% of your policy. People don't know that. So I'm informing them, educating them. And once they know that, now they feel that attachment to say, hey, he's really concerned about myself and my family.
Mm-hmm. So how do you see entrepreneurship evolving in the Black community?
First of all, we got to get rid of our egos in the Black community. Now, that's not saying everybody has that, but from my experiences and doing a lot of networking and things, people are excited. They will talk your ear off and say they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then all of a sudden you leave the networking business or event or whatever, you never hear from them. So again, standing behind your word, being serious about what you want to do, being serious about networking. I think a lot of people are selfish, honestly. That's just my honest truth. It's that they're selfish and don't want to see anyone else succeed. Not everybody, but there are some people out there that I've encountered with that, and that has taken my ideas and run off with them. So, so that's why you got to be able to discern with those divine connections and so forth. So, just talking through my experiences, that's what I see in the Black community and so forth, and entrepreneurship. It's going to just keep taking a hit because, people aren't willing to come together and work together.
Now, this is a two-pronged question because what you said is some things that I've actually been trying to figure out and just talking with different individuals and finding out what is the issue about unification, partnering, and growing together. Why do you think that there are so many people besides, well, understand the ego part, but why do you think so many people really feel that they can actually be a lone wolf, especially in today's times? Because a lot of times, teamwork makes things work a whole lot easier in the times that we're in right now. Why do you think it's like that?
Well, honestly, through my experience with emotional intelligence, a lack of emotional intelligence and understanding how teamwork plays an important role of being successful. Because, like, for example, in the movie business, I'm a movie producer. I'm starting back with that as well. Uh, the I implemented emotional intelligence with the movie producers and with the Sunshine City Film Festival. So once I think it's a lack of emotional intelligence and understanding how we can be successful together rather than alone. And what I mean by that, in the social realm of emotional intelligence, you come together to make things work, understanding one another's talent,
Mm-hmm.
having a meeting and saying, oh, again, based on the movie production business, a guy named James Hunter in Orlando, Florida, big time movie producer, independent films. He's open. He knows his stuff, but he's open to letting people look at the film, the cinematography, and all of that stuff. And saying, hey, how does this look? He doesn't just make decisions on his own. He just want to know and have input from others so they can come together. And that's how his movies have just been spitting out. He's been putting out movie after movie after movie on YouTube, on Tubi, on all of those platforms.
Right.
Netflix, all of that. So he's big time now, big time. But the main thing I'm telling you from that point is that he understands how to come together as a team. Mm-hmm. And not just be, hey, this is how it's going to be. This he listens. He listens. Say, oh, I didn't see it that way. Okay, let's do this. Mm-hmm. So you got to be open to compromising as well, open to understanding one another and the whole vision, the big picture of whatever event that you're doing. You got to look at the big picture. How are we going to get to that big picture? That's why companies and organizations have missions and vision statements. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that make sense? I mean,
It
why would you have a mission of business statement? Why? You don't even need to write it if you're going to do what you want to do.
That is true. You are so right.
Yeah.
Um, what role does community empowerment play in your business model?
Well, again, naturally being a servant um, of God, dealing with these business ventures, you want to also say, what product or service do I have as a servant
Mhm.
that I can continuously, successfully be into full servanthood? You know, so again, with the business and talking about community impact and involvement, you want to have a product or service that's going to help people to progress or move up in life,
Mhm.
but on the other hand, those folks have to also accept that and apply themselves. The main thing is application,
Right.
so you can give them all of the knowledge that you want.
Mhm.
My pastor always says, you being up under this roof, if you're not successful, that's on you, because he pours out, gives
It's
us
there. Uh-oh. Yes, sir. You're back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but you were frozen for a while. But hopefully, we still have our guest here. We probably have to just edit the video.
No, actually, no. We're live.
Hey, well, hey, guess we'll have an intermission then. Sorry about that.
That's all right. What challenges do educators face today, especially in marginalized communities?
Could you repeat the question, please?
What challenges do educators face today, especially in marginalized communities?
I smirk a lot. That's part of my technique that I use to keep my pressure down. But being in the public school system myself, being in the private school sector, being in the college, all of them have one common thing: is that students' interest in learning. I don't know whether they have a distraction or whether they're just bored, but that's what I see from most in these communities is that then they may not, and I can't say for sure, but some students just are coming from dysfunctional families, so their concern is survival and not education. You know, and I say that because I've run into students a lot that I've helped as a mentor that had to do other things in order to take care of the family. It wasn't concerned about education and so forth. Their main thing is survival. These are true things that these students go through. You know, you know.
So, when we think about emotional intelligence, how do you inspire your students to pursue excellence?
Again, it's the mindset. Again, everything evolves from the mindset. If I say can't, my mind right now, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling I'm not going to do anything. That's the negative connotation that it gives. So our mind is very powerful. So we need to watch what we speak out of our mouth. Because again, that's why I told a guy today, I went to the trade school with him to sign up for trade school. And he said, well, Dr. Lowe, I'm trying. I'm trying. I say, please take the trying out of your vocabulary. You are doing because you took that step. You have registered. Now you start school on January 20th. So you've done it. You're not trying, you're doing it. So again, the mindset is a terrible thing to waste. So with that being said, that's one of the main things that I see from students and so on that prevents them from progressing or being successful.
Um, Again, in thinking about emotional intelligence, what changes would you like to see in the education system?
Actually, I would love, and I have that opportunity at the college level because we have a sense of freedom at the college as professors to implement certain courses that are called exit courses. Um, once students get ready to graduate. So I'm thinking about doing an emotional intelligence course. It's a 1 credit course. It's part of your exit requirements to, get your AA or your AS degree. So emotional intelligence plays a lot when it comes to being successful, even getting through balancing of work, personal and business, personal, schoolwork, and whatever else you're doing, kids, being a parent. We have different roles. So I teach that in my emotional intelligence workshops. You know, I used to do the workshops where I ask people and I start and I say, tell me about yourself. I say, just one words. Just write one words. How many one words that you can write about yourself? So a lot of them, again, don't know themselves well enough in the different roles that we have as people. For example, I'm a father. Okay, so I got parent duties. Even though they're all adults, I still got parent duties. I'm a grandfather. So that's a different relationship between my kids and my grandkids.
Right.
I'm a professor. I'm a life insurance agent. I'm a private investigator. I'm saying all of those roles, you got to tune in to your responsibilities and who are you accountable for in each one of those roles. People usually keep the same attitude when they come from work because they're mad at somebody. Then they come home as a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and guess what? They ruin the whole like
Relation.
situation of coming home and being able to continue to build that relationship because they're still stuck in their emotions and not understanding their identity role has changed now. When you leave the job, you're not a nurse anymore. You're not a professor anymore. You're not a police officer anymore. You need to come home and change into that husband wife role,
Right.
or whatever role you're playing at that time.
Right. What advice would you give to someone starting their first business?
What advice?
Mm-hmm.
Really to plan. Really, the first you already have the idea from your vision. Okay, if you really want to start a business, obviously you had a vision and what type of business you want to start because you understand your talents and gifts. Hopefully, and not just starting any type of business because you just want to start a business. You got to have a passion for something. I used to teach at this business school here and teach emotional intelligence inside the business school that this lady named Dr. V, we call her Dr. V, but and you had some amazing students that created their businesses. So in other words, the passion was for these one kids for tennis shoes, to redesign the tennis shoe and to make them out of something, a shoe that was looked at rough and dirty, to a shoe that was wow, outstanding and creative. So what I'm saying by that, you just the advice I would give them is to plan. Really see your why. What is your why? Why do you want to do what you do? That's the first thing.
This is from I put it on the screen. It's from Larry Keaton. He says, "Thanks. Not sure what happened to my response. However, glad to be a part."
Oh, okay. Yeah, Larry's very dedicated to community service and development, personal development of people. Yeah.
So, how do you handle? How do you teach your kids, especially? Like for those that are maybe already entrepreneurs, and when they want to use, as you're teaching them to use emotional intelligence, how do you teach them to handle failures and setbacks in business?
Just business aspect of it or personal as well, because
You can add.
emotional intelligence is personal and it may be business or social environment, but
Mhm,
you know, w- first of all, they got to learn what it is.
mhm,
They got to understand some things about the mind as well, because I don't know everything about the brain, but what I do know that we have two almond-shaped organs on each hemisphere of our brain called the amygdala that controls some of the more unfavorable emotions, anger, sadness, and so forth. But when we continue to put more positiveness in our mind, it will overtake the amygdala and you become more confident and brave. And you will understand why it's important to not fear, because God did not give us the spirit of fear anyway.
right.
But we got to understand that. We got to understand that. How do we understand that? We got to really understand and seek knowledge. Once we seek the knowledge, now we got to apply it. That's going back to that critical thinking I was talking about. And then that's in the Bible as well. That's in the Bible first.
Mhm.
The word stands. But in reality, in the critical thinking steps, you got knowledge first. Then how am I going to get to the second level, which is comprehension?
Mhm.
I got to read it. I got to research it. That's how I'm going to comprehend it. Now, the next level after comprehension is application.
Yep.
Okay, you got the knowledge. I understand what to do. Now, I got to apply myself. When you apply yourself, now we're checking on the mastery to see if you can master this stuff now. and being able to break it down is the analyzing, then the synthesizing, being able to connect from different sources and so forth. Use your mind creatively to connect from different sources and bring together one common goal or one common outcome of a project that you're doing. And then you're evaluating, which is the highest order critical thinking skill. So that's part of emotional intelligence as well as understanding themselves. What are your talents? What are your gifts? Why do I want to do what I want to do? You know, that's first and foremost. You got to understand what you got to seek out, ask God for your time. What is it, God? What is my why? What do you have me to do?
Wow. So how do you bring entrepreneur experience into the classroom?
I'm sorry, you're fading out in and out.
How do you bring your entrepreneurial experience into the classroom?
I just explain different things that I do to inspire them. You know, it's not for a bragging moment, but I use it to elevate my students. A lot of them are interested in having now other certificates or licenses because I share those with them. And it's the same steps that they need to take in order to get a degree program.
Mhm.
It just may take longer in that degree plan than to get a licensure or something of that nature. So when I bring that to the classroom, especially in student life skills, I love teaching student life skills because I could talk about these things more openly in those classes, in that particular class, because it's a student life skills.
Right.
Those are life skills that I'm teaching them. You know, maybe I'm seeing some of them saying they want to be a surgeon, they want to be a doctor, and I'm looking like I don't see it. I don't tell them that because I don't want to discourage them
Mhm.
because they may just be in their season of that they're in at that time of not understanding
Mhm.
where they want to get to.
Right.
So but at the same time, I'm making them aware that there's other things out there that they may be interested in. That's why I'm glad I'm a strong advocate for trade schools.
Mm.
Really,
Final
yeah, because
question.
my brother took a trade. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, final,
Sorry.
final question for you. How do you measure your impact as an educator?
Whew. Dating back again, my friends. One of them was on here. Gary the Tampa Tempest or um, the name, but he always challenged us. That guy there is a brainiac.
Mhm.
He challenged us in theology. He challenged us in history. He challenged us in Black history. Everything that you can name.
Mhm.
Starting back with him, we used to go tutor in the community at the community centers.
Mhm.
So I've been a tutor since like 15, 16 years old. We go into the GED centers in the community and we're teaching math and teaching all of these other subject areas, to help people to get their GEDs. And I haven't even graduated from high school yet. But to answer your question, I've been very impactful since 15, 16 years old, and then owning my own tutoring agency because there was a need and being a special education advocate.
Mhm.
That's one of my backgrounds is special education and behavior disorders. So I've worked with all students with various disabilities and so forth, autistic to severe learning disabled to emotionally disturbed, some of everything you can think of, which started from the program Project Pilot, which was written by Dr. Brenda Walker.
Mhm.
It's written her in 1995 at the University of South Florida. 31 of us African American males went through that program and were able to use our education to go into the school systems and be impactful. So we evolved for the last 30 years now, have been educating. That program, if I can get her blessing, which I'm pretty sure I will, I'm going to do a documentary on that as well as a book on the Project Pilot program. Pilot stands for Preparing Innovative Leaders of Tomorrow, and she did just that. All of us, several of us, are in the college level. A lot of us are still in the public school system with masters and doctorate degrees now. So yep, yep.
So in closing, what are some words of wisdom and encouragement you'd like to leave for our audience? How they could connect with you via your social media, come to your website. What would you like for them to know?
Well, you can reach me at on social media, on Instagram as Dr. Lorenzo Carswell 6, or I have Dr. Lowell, Lowell, or you can reach me on Facebook as Dr. Lorenzo Carswell. You can also reach me by my email, drlcarswell at gmail.com. That's Dr. L. Carswell at gmail.com. There's many other ways. My phone number, if you want to write that down, I don't mind. 813-619-8187. Again, 813-619-8187. And I'd like to leave a final thought is that if you never step out on faith or try, you'll never know. I've been through that situation already. And I'm not saying I regret anything. However, I knew if I would have moved back in the day and not have that fear of moving. Sometimes we have a fear of being successful.
Mm.
That may sound strange, but that was me. What if I do this and I blow up, to something great, But now I see my purpose. It's all in my why now. So I step out on faith and I get that done now. So I appreciate you, the opportunity of being on your show. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, I'd like to thank you for blessing us with your presence again. I mean, this truly again was another great show, and I definitely appreciate your time. And it's the wisdom and the things that you were able to connect. That is from how you started to where you are now, and how you are passing that off, at least teaching your students how to get that same thing, even though it's a little bit different than when we came up. But it's one of those things that they should get. And so I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank all of you that watched the show tonight. I appreciate you taking your time on this Friday night for watching the show. If you guys have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, if you would please lend us your support and subscribe to our channels, as well as enable all notifications. I would definitely appreciate that. I want to thank you, Dr. Carswell, again for spending your Friday evening with us. And for all of you that are watching, please come back and watch us again on Mondays. We have another great week of shows next week. And I'm your host, Charles King. We're signing off here on American Black and White, where we will see you guys, where we will continue to color conversations on the canvas of America. You guys have a great weekend.